everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Reality Hour. I'm Adam Samuel, and today, finally, we have made it to the live shows of America's Got Talent. We are talking about week one of the quarterfinals, and joining me for this discussion is my co-host, Eric. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing, all things considered, I'm doing good. This episode was, we'll get to it, but a lot of it was good, but part of it, I honestly felt a little bit nauseous towards the end, so we'll get to that.
I feel like a lot of people when they do recaps of America's Got Talent or kind of any show in general, there always has to be a hot take, and I think I've got a hot take for the season after coming away from this episode. I think this was the high point that we're gonna get to. Honestly, I think this is where we're the best of the best. What do you think? Would you agree?
God, I hope you're wrong. Because if you're right, this is going to be the worst season of America's Got Talent ever, if you're right.
I mean, I'll be honest. I think I had the most fun watching an episode of America's Got Talent watching this episode. Maybe it's because my expectations have been lowered to such a level that anything. But I will say, accepting it for what it was, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. What about you, Eric?
I enjoyed parts of it. I'm really looking forward to next week's episode. Next week has my two favorites on it. So
I always 100% will choose a live show over one of those pre.
Oh, the live show format is so much better.
It feels less annoying, if that's a too harsh of a way to put it. It feels more real. Like everything up until this point kind of feels very manufactured, very picked apart and put together in a factory. Like this feels like the show I love. Like it's kind of a bastardization of what I remember it being, but it's still kind of there. So I'm happy that we finally, after 2 months, over 2 months, that we finally made it to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eric, you watched all the acts. What are your overall impressions from this episode?
My overall impressions, I liked a lot of the acts, and overall I'd say we pretty much got the right results, but we'll get to it. I mean, honestly, the last act kind of really put a damper on my night, so.
Okay. We will be going through all the acts. As we touch on each contestant, we will also be touching on the results. This is going to be a spoiler podcast, so if you haven't watched the show, we're going to be talking about some results, who's moving on.
Let's face it, if you watched us, you watched the show already.
I hope so. But what did you watch did you catch the performances on the results show?
I saw Shin Lim. Even Shin Lim isn't as good as we remember him being with this season. I mean, I'm annoyed, honestly. I mean, literally, I love Shin Lim. I'm seeing Shin Lim live in about a month or two. In October, I'm seeing Shin Lim perform live at Constitution Hall. I'm super excited about that. This was the worst trick I've ever seen him do. Having said that, it's very easy for him to do the worst trick he's ever done because all of his other tricks have been absolutely astonishing. So this one being okay or mediocre is fine, considering every other trick has been mind-blowing. But, of course, you know I'm going with this, right?
I think so.
Literally, they had to put Jay Leno with Shin Lim. Why the hell would they do that? Why? They're torturing me. This week is torturing me. This week is a giant middle finger pointed at me.
I came away first of all, when I heard that we were getting, it was a group performance also. We also got a performance from the season 1 winner with Sophie Dossi and Brian King Joseph. And while I was watching that performance, I had an idea for a branch off version of America's Got Talent that I wanted to run by you and let me know if this idea is either a very good idea or a very bad idea. So here's my idea. America's Got Talent acts, we take about 10 of them, and for one show, they have to swap talents with someone else. All of a sudden, we have a singer, doing the Sophie Dossi tricks, Shin Lim maybe doing...
No.
No. I thought that would be such a funny show.
Oh,
I
would
think
be
they actually
funny.
did something like that. Wasn't there like a I Can Do That or something where they did it with celebrities? I was like,
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah.
that would be kind of funny for America's Got Talent. Like, or maybe just have the judges do what the contestants do.
That would be fun. I'd like to see Howie try to be funny for once.
All right. So is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the show? I'm still working on a title for it though. 2 thumbs up it is. All right, let's move on. Let's start to go through some of these contestants. Starting off with Greg Morton. No, sorry, I watched a little bit out of order. So G-Force is up first. So they are
in the death spot.
In the death spot. Someone's got to be in the death spot, and it makes sense that they are the acts that kind of were. They are kind of like the America's Got Talent version this season of a Kids Bop group. They only have done original songs, which is the one thing I will like. That is a check mark for me. Like I will at least there's some. I don't know if it was actually like probably not written by them. Actually, very probably not written by them. But at least there is some. At least they're not very run of the mill and just doing covers. What did you think about them?
I don't have anything particularly nice to say, and so I'm not going to say anything at all because we're kids. Next.
This was like I said, it was an original song. There was one part where the kids are like, I don't remember what it was, something like we're gonna be original or we're something unique, and all of a sudden one of the girls starts doing the floss, which is like the move that all these kids are doing nowadays. I sound like an old person, like all these kids, these damn kids. But anyway, the point I'm making is that they're saying they're being unique and yet doing. I don't know. It was just an observation of mine. I'm kind of at a loss for words for kind of this act. I don't believe they ever should have been in the live shows. I think the fact that they are kind of puts a damper on. This show could have been great. There were some contestants that could have taken their spot, and we would have had a better show. And I think we kind of suffered for them because this is the decision we have to kind of have on the show, right?
No.
Or did I just ramble incoherently?
No, but those damn kids isn't really front runner for episode title.
Yeah. I mean, let's get on to the results. So they do not advance. Do you have any words of advice for this act moving forward?
I don't know, honestly. I think that once they get older, they'll start losing some of the kids' boppiness, and maybe they'll have more of a shot. But
I mean, did these kids like know each other beforehand? It's one of those acts, those like groups that I feel like have been manufactured. Like
I'm not sure they have been, but they definitely feel like they are, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just because of what we've seen. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of all I can really say about them, honestly.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Greg Morton. He is. I don't even know really. It's not a comedy act. It's like how would you describe? His
Twitter name is Greg Morton Comic, so we think he's a comedy act.
All right. Well, he is. He does voices. That's the only way I could really think to describe it. Can you tell me about this performance of his, Greg? Of Eric's? Can you tell me about this performance of his, Eric?
I can. It's the same as every performance he's ever done so far. Just voice. I don't want to talk about his performance. What I want to talk about is how he's commented to Greg after he made it through on night 2. Because I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Howie actually gave good advice. Legitimately good advice. At a time where no judge ever gives any good advice.
And what was the advice?
The advice was work on your material. It's okay to hire someone to come up with material for you.
Yeah.
No shame in that.
The problem that I have with Greg is that it's just a parroting of famous lines. There's no. It's.
That's the thing. Howie was spot on. I know. I can't believe I'm saying that either. But the problem with Greg is that he doesn't have jokes. He just has voices. And for impressionists to do well on the show, they need to weave the impression into a story and tell jokes with them. Because as of now, it's impressive for like 30 seconds, and then you get tired of it. So
it's funny. I was actually messaging someone. I think it was one of our viewers actually. They were saying like afterwards, they're like, I think he might make it through. I was like, of course he is. Like, look at the fact that
number of views.
he made it through. Like, kind of says something about the level of talent. Honestly, I feel because on most seasons, this would have been an easy cut here,
Yeah.
and I feel it's going to be. I don't even know if I could really say with certainty if it's going to be an easy cut in the next round because the level of talent. Do you agree?
I think if he gets better material, he could actually make it to the final, but it's not likely.
The thing is, for me, I feel like he's not so much playing for the million as much as maybe like playing for a job, if that makes sense.
And
like,
and that's fair because he's not
fair,
going to win. But
I feel I want a season of America's Got Talent where the people are playing to win, and I feel like this is one of those acts that kind of takes it down a notch for me.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move
now that
on.
I've given Howie a compliment, let's pretend that never happened and let's move on.
Let's talk about Carmen Carter.
The Imagine Dragons curse strikes again.
Every season, the Imagine Dragons, as much as I might enjoy them, like when I'm going for a run or when I'm maybe at the gym, I'm convinced that their music is cursed on these shows. Whenever I hear a song of a contestant start singing and it's the opening bars of an Imagine Dragons songs, I get very nervous. Am I warranted in my fear here?
Clearly you were, because she's gone. So
I can't say 100%, but I can say with 99.9% certainty on my own opinion that she did not pick this song. This is not a song that anyone would pick to sing for a competition for $1 million. I believe that this was put on her. Maybe whatever she might say, like, "Oh, I love this song." She did not pick this song. This was
strongly encouraged for her to do it.
And as I shared on a tweet, this was a good old-fashioned busing. Am I correct?
Yep.
I could see like the tweet I shared of the teachers throwing Eric Cartman in front of the bus. Like that was kind of what this was. Because what do you do with a song like this? Like it's such a there's nothing to do. Like you're stuck in a box and you kind of have to look around and go, guess I'll go home now. Like there's nothing. It's such a nothing song, and it sucks because I really enjoyed Carmen. I thought she was a really good singer, and for what she was given to do with the song, it was okay. Mm-hmm. But there's a point I actually want to make, but I first want to hear your thoughts on Carmen. Go ahead.
I don't really have thoughts beyond the curse. Make your points.
This is gonna be I'm gonna be jumping ahead a little bit, but Luke Islam performs in the second to last spot. And I actually watched these two performances back to back a second time before we went live. And I don't know, there's like something different about these two because if you had given Believer to Luke Islam, the same thing would have happened, I believe. Like these contestants have not been dealt the same hand, is what I'm trying to say. Not. Like, first off, compare these. I know they're totally different, like singers and totally different ages and everything, but just compare them for a second. So Luke gets a big ballad, like a big emotional ballad that probably was also handed to him. Carmen, a song that you can't do anything with. And then another thing that really stood out to me was just how they did the stage for them, the level of production. Carmen literally just has lights behind her. Luke is on this huge stage. It's beautiful. It's like they went like full out for him. And I hate how unfair this show can be sometimes because people don't play with the same hand. And it's really, it bugs me out, Eric.
Okay.
Which I'm going to get on a little bit of my soapbox for another second right here. So we had 7 acts advance, right?
Yes.
So this is I'm just gonna throw this point out. You can either disregard it or whatever. But of those acts that made it through, Ansley Burns was the only girl solo act to make it through. The only other girl in any of these acts was in the Voices of Service. Every other act that included a girl was sent home this week. Do you think anything of that? Is that?
I don't think it's anything.
Am I looking too far into it?
Yeah, I think you are.
All right, well, that's entirely fair. But anyway, let's move on to Emerald Bells. They are, I'm going to call them like high school Rockettes, if that's, sure. They say they're not the Rockettes like they did in an earlier run, but they're the Rockettes. Like that's what the show is kind of pushing with them. They are one of our few dance acts in the season, honestly. What did you think of them?
Out of the 3 acts I'm going to say, they got my vote.
Out of what? I didn't hear.
The 3 acts that were up for the save, they got my vote.
Funnily enough, they also got mine too. The weird thing though is they get this intro package and they literally get the full like top 3 of American Idol, like parade. They get all these like I was like, whoa, it's just top 36. Like
well, maybe that was a subtle hint. It's time for them to go. Maybe, I don't know.
I enjoyed what these girls bring to the table. I don't think they are wildly outclassed on the America's Got Talent. How it works,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
just
they were not gonna win, but they were better in my opinion than the other 2 options, so I voted for them.
I mean, at that point, it's like picking between like the last thing. I'm trying. Like, I didn't really have that much investment in any of those 3 acts that were kind of up for elimination. So I was like, like I kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought though, had they made it through, they would have been goners.
Absolutely.
In semis. So at least I feel like there's very little victories for contestants on America's Got Talent, and I feel like if you can go out, I would rather an act go out on a high, with people saying they were robbed, than maybe making it through and kind of going out with a whimper. Like I feel like this is a high. Like they didn't overstay their welcome. They kind of did what they needed to do, and there are worse exits from America's Got Talent than I feel you could hope. Like you could get. So they ended up. It's a nice ending for them. Is all I can say.
Okay.
All right. Any final thoughts on them?
Nope.
All right. Well, let us talk about Sophie Pecora. The big moment for me of this week of performances and results. We will get to it in a second. So she is doing another original song. What did you think? What do you make of Sophie this round, Eric?
Love her personality. Seems like a lover girl. I'm not a fan of her voice.
I am shocked that she didn't make it through.
Me too.
Shocked.
The only surprise of the night for me was that Sophie did not make it through.
I mean, the second I saw that she was up for the save, I was like, whoa. Because maybe this is a question I think we're going to have to start bringing up more moving forward when we recap these shows is how much does that pre-established fan base really matter in the grand scheme of things?
I mean, especially for a young person, like for the duck and save in particular, you needed to you would need to have your audience all watching live, and they weren't. So, I
mean, we had Christina Grimmie. We had Christina Grimmie on The Voice,
and she also needed the save, and she came in third.
But she went further.
But
sometimes I feel like can carry you. So I don't know. I'm just floored that she didn't make it through. Her original song. What did you think of her song? This girl she's literally a younger female version of Chase Goring from a couple of seasons ago.
Yes,
and
similar.
I'll just say that I didn't enjoy Chase that much either. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be too harsh, but
never do I.
I will say that Sophie has nothing to be worried about. If anything, she should be happy. She's still going home with an even bigger fan base now backing her. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think she's going to carve out a very solid niche for her on the YouTube platform. And maybe that could go mainstream. You never know. But even just staying on YouTube, I don't think is a bad thing. I think that's a pretty good career path. What do you think?
Could be. And she's 13. She has plenty of time.
Yeah. If you could give her any advice on whether it be anything moving forward, maybe her sound or writing, what advice would that be for Sophie?
I don't know. I'm not giving her advice, but.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Miss Saudi brothers. They are a strength act. That's it, right?
They're a stripper act. Let's cut the shit.
All right. So they, I explain what this performance was, Eric.
They take their shirts off and they do frame things. They balance things. That's it. Honestly, maybe it's me, but guys who are kind of that muscular kind of creep me out a little bit, personally. But yeah, I can't make it through.
I'll be honest. Of all the acts that made it through, this was the one that surprised me. Yeah, honestly, because maybe it just speaks to the talent of the episode, but I was unimpressed.
Mm-hmm.
I was the desensitization of America's Got Talent acts is just I'm not wowed by things like this anymore. And I'll be honest, I think they're in big trouble next round. Very big trouble next round. Maybe they'll squeak by, but I don't think
they won't.
I don't think they've got much of a shot at this point. I can already predict they're gonna do another routine, and only then are they gonna pile. The judges are gonna pile on them, saying like,
well, two of the judges are gonna pile on them.
Oh God. Which, by the way, speaking of judges, there was a GIF that came to my mind at this point in the show, which was the Oprah Winfrey GIF of you get a car, you get a car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everyone got standing ovations this episode, Eric. What did you think about our new judges? How do you think they did on this first live setting?
Well, I judge them based on the last act, so I don't think they did very good. We'll get there.
All right. So let's move on to Voices of Service. They are a musical trio. They all have pretty rough backgrounds in the.
By the way.
What?
There's four of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's a four? Quartet?
Actually, that is.
Oh.
I think it is at least.
All right. They are a musical quartet. They all were in the military. I thoroughly enjoy that woman's voice in this group. They performed Fire by Gavin DeGraw. What did you think of them, Eric?
Really great, but here's where I disagree. Here's where I get a little bit negative. I'm not sure I would have given them a giant background choir yet. I think it's a bit much for this round of the competition. I
agree. Save that for. I feel like they didn't need it.
They did not need it.
They would have. I feel like they probably came in the fifth place of this result.
They came in a high enough place that they put him next to Cody Lee, and they thought that it wasn't a fake out. They thought it'd be fake. They thought the both of you thing would be a fake out.
But I really enjoy these guys and lady. I think that girl's got one of the best voices in the competition. Still, do you think so?
Yeah.
The one thing is I don't hate. I wish that it wouldn't be such a spotlight on the military aspect all the time. I feel like we've seen them three times now. It's
about the story. It's not about talent.
Exactly, and I feel like I'm a little worried that maybe next week it's going to go a little too far, and they might be what's the word I came up with? Suggestiforced, proud to be American.
Oh,
like a song, like a really patriotic song that kind of dips into cheese a little bit. But I really enjoyed this performance.
Mm-hmm.
Suggestiforced. That's the word for America's Got Talent viewing.
And that is also the episode title. It has to be. We'll see if we can come up with them better.
All right. Well, did you have any thoughts on Voices of Service?
Nope.
Do you agree though that maybe there might be that little concern for it getting a little bit overbaked and
Yeah.
cheesy, which I feel like at this point you're already pushing it, and I'm worried
It's gonna get worse. It's just trust me, it's gonna get worse.
they're gonna have to do like the national anthem or like
We're gonna have like elderly veterans behind them. Is what's gonna happen. I've seen that on Britain's Got Talent too many times to count. That exact thing.
All right. Anyway, let's talk about Ansley Burns, our wild card. We mentioned we talked about this a little bit on Twitter. So Ansley, one of 3 wild cards. Eric, what did you think about this pick? Yep. We also did get confirmation of a second wild card, which we may or may not talk about a little bit later. All right, but all I could think when I saw that she was going to be picked was, why her? Like,
Because we like to torture this woman with 12-year-olds some more.
Can you imagine if she starts singing and Simon like just slowly?
Oh, it's gonna happen.
You see his hand just slowly go up.
Torturing this girl. I mean, and it's pissing me off because it's mean. She's 12. Don't keep cutting her, bringing her back, cutting her, bringing her back, making her think that she's about to get cut when she's not. It's mean. It's mean. It's mean.
You know, if she does get cut though in the next round because she does dance, maybe she could join G-Force.
Okay.
No.
I'm too distracted by how mean it is to laugh at that joke.
My joke?
Yeah.
What did I say?
I mean, not you're being mean. The fact that the show is being mean to her.
But you know, this is nothing new. This is just kind of how.
But it's still annoying.
I mean, I thought her performance this round was kind of it was fun. It was straightforward, simple. But what did you think about it?
It's much better, but I liked it better than Sophie, so I'm not mad.
You liked it better than Sophie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she ends up not only just getting the wild card, she also advances on the save. Were you happy with the result?
I voted for Mel Bells, but I can't complain.
Yeah. I feel like though she is on borrowed time.
Oh, she's been on borrowed time.
She seems like a lovely girl, but honestly, like, she's out of her league at this point. But then again, I also say, like, I've said that about a lot of contestants this round, this episode. So who really knows, Eric?
Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on to Alex Dowis, who I don't even know how to describe this act. How would you, Eric?
I'll describe it as my favorite act of the night by about a mile. So it's basically like a light. It's the light painting version of Ksenia, the sand artist from Champions. It's like drawing stuff using lights instead of sand, and the lights actually enable motion stuff. This act is creative, cool, nothing I'd see on a different show. I am thrilled he made it through.
It is rare on America's Got Talent for something to come along that's somewhat unique. Like, it's so rare at this point. And Alex is that one or two of, like, maybe not even two. That is kind of a totally different thing that I have never seen before. They, like you said, you put it perfectly. It is a video version of, like, a sand artist. It's they do a painting, and they do it really quick. It's beautiful things that he does, and the story is kind of really beautiful. I didn't think Simon kind of harped on it as being like something he might see in a museum, which I totally disagree with. I don't think that.
No, this is way better than that.
Yeah, it's so simple and yet so beautiful at the same time. Like, it's something you're not going to see in any other show besides for America's Got Talent. And I wish we had more like this. We had some different stuff because this was good. This was
really good.
This was really good.
Enjoyed this.
For me, though, I would not put it at number 1. I would put it at 2.
What's your number 1?
We will talk about the number 1 in a second. But otherwise, do you think Alex has a shot at finale?
Based on talent, I would think so, but I'm not sure.
I'm worried. I'm worried we're going to get a bus. I'm worried the South Park teachers are going to grab Carmen.
And
Oh
shuck
my
him. Yep.
Shaka.
Mm-hmm.
That episode of South Park was really good. The one with the teachers throwing you under a bus. Anyway, let's move on to the act that I actually would put as my number one spot. It
He's
is
my number 2, so we're good. We're basically in agreement.
Luke Islam, 12-year-old singer. A lot of 12-year-olds this episode. Like maybe G-Force could be like this big team. We could just keep
just have one random guy in there for some reason.
I mean, I think he would be the best singer of them, honestly.
Oh, well, yes.
It was funny because when I was watching America's Got Talent, I was also I was like just thinking out loud, and I was watching there was a Dear Evan Hansen video that came up. I was watching on my phone YouTube, and a Dear Evan Hansen trailer came up for it, and I was looking at it right before the commercial, like during the commercial for Luke's performance ahead of it, and I was staring at the ad, and I was like, huh. That'd be like there's some good songs from there that Luke could do. And then, what do you know? He did one of the songs. Mm-hmm. He does "You Will Be Found." Did you get a chance to see Waitress, Eric?
No. Waitress?
Well, Waitress. No, not Waitress.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen.
Still no, but
still no. Did you get to see Dear Evan Hansen?
No. Nor did I get to see Waitress.
Are you familiar with the soundtrack?
No.
All right. Well, what did you think about this performance?
Best singer of the night by a mile. This kid is really good. He won't win for the obvious reasons that we've discussed after his first audition, but I'm happy I'll get to see him again. Yeah,
I put him at number 1, which is really unfair because it's just I feel like Alex has so much more creativity, but Luke. It's so unfair.
They're my 2 favorites. Those are the 2 that I voted for before the show started. So
yeah, Luke is all about Broadway. He loves Broadway. I feel like he might be one of those contestants that maybe isn't. He's kind of like a certain different Twilight version of Greg Morton, where I feel like his story is kind of not so much America's Got Talent as much as maybe a job in Broadway. If that makes sense.
I mean, yes, because there's no way he's winning America's Got Talent. He's getting bussed next round, but
I don't think he gets bussed next round. I think he makes finale night, honestly.
I'd like that.
I think not only does he make...
I don't expect it, but I'd like that.
I think not only does he make finale night, I think he goes home in 5th. I think he goes right to that 5th place spot, honestly.
I'd be fine with that. I'd like that.
But the thing is, I think he's smart. Like, one act is going to win. Like, just look at the board of how many other acts that you're competing with. First of all, one of them is Cody Lee. And if at that point, you might as well, like, try to make some inroads for something else. I mean, why not? Right? Do you have any predictions for a second song that we might hear from him during the semifinals? Because if we're going for modern Broadway music...
I don't know.
I just had a really bad idea.
What?
Not an idea, but a thought. I'm going to make this prediction, and if it comes true, I am going to buy a lottery ticket. Okay. The next song that Luke Islam is going to perform on America's Got Talent is not going to be from a Broadway show, but it's going to be from a musical movie called The Greatest Showman.
Yep.
And it is going to be This Is Me.
It's going to be Never Enough.
No, it's going to be This Is Me.
It's going to be one of those 2.
I'm throwing it out there. That is my prediction. If I get it right, do you think I got a shot?
It's Simon Cowell. It's America's Got Talent. You got a shot. The question is how good of a shot.
Have we heard This Is Me on America's Got Talent this season?
Don't think so, but we've heard it last season and the season before that. So
we're overdue, Eric.
We are overdue. Okay.
It's like the Greatest Showman's like head is poking in through the room. Like it's just I'm talking and right over here there's like you can edit in like The Greatest Showman just watching me. Anyway, yeah, Luke, stellar performance. It's the one I've gone back to the most of all these tonight. So yeah, him and Alex in the first and second spot.
Okay.
And Let's talk about Beer Kalsa. They are, well, I don't really know what the hell they are. They break watermelons. They do things that I don't know why anyone would ever want to do. You know, it brought me right back to, I almost wish we had a different, like a comedian performing after them, because when I was watching this, I was brought right back to Samuel J. Conroy
I
going,
loved watching whatever the hell that was.
I've worked 25 years in comedy, and I just want to say I'm so honored to follow those strange men doing whatever the hell they were doing.
Yep.
Because it's the same thing for me. Like, I get that you can do these things,
but
why?
Yeah. I honestly didn't watch Fest because I thought, oh, they didn't make it through. I can hit Fest forward now.
Well, I did watch it. I suffered through it.
Congratulations. Thank you. You're a true mensch for doing that for both of us.
There was one. I will say, this is something I will give them credit to. When I watch Danger Acts, I'm always like, oh, there's no tension for me. Like, I'm kind of watching it like, meh. But for this act, there was one part where a guy, he has a cucumber in his mouth, and this guy takes a chainsaw and goes down. And for the first time watching a Danger Act, I visibly reacted. I was like, because he starts turning it like to cut this way, and I'm like, you're gonna hit his nose, like it's right there, like it's literally inches. And I was like, for the first time, that actually it got me, and I was like, good job, Danger Act, you got me. But I still don't understand it.
Never do I.
Anyway, they do not end up advancing, so I guess that we never will.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about, all right, we've gone through all the acts. There's one act remaining. Was Cody on the first episode of the season?
Yes.
So it's been a while since we've seen the Pimp Spot performance. Cody Lee, singer, piano player. He is an autistic and deaf musician.
Blind.
What did I say? I'm sorry. Deaf and blind.
No,
and he's
autistic and blind.
I'm sorry, autistic and blind, and he is performing "Bridge Over Troubled Water" by Simon and Garfunkel. And at this point, I am going to hand it off to Eric. Tell me, what did you think about this act?
Okay, so here's my rant. I like America's Got Talent. I like Cody Lee's voice. I appreciate his talent. But my God, as someone on the spectrum, this segment made me nauseous. First of all, I'm going to go for all the problems. First of all, Cody didn't get to say a goddamn word in his own introductory VT. The whole thing was his mom talking for him. And that pissed me off. The entire thing, Cody did not say a word. And he can, because they interviewed him afterward and he said thank you. Let him say something at least. And then his mom there the entire fucking time. Cody can speak. Let him. His mom was crying about when he was diagnosed with autism and the sad music playing. I'm like, come on. And then the fundamental thing is it should be about him and his talent, not about her and his story. I love it when talented people with disabilities succeed on these shows, but not because they have disabilities, but because they are talented. If someone undeserving wins because of their disability, that's not a win for a disability community. That's pity voting, and it drives me crazy. I liked Lost Voice Guy because he was funny first. It was great that he had a disability, and that was good, but mostly he was funny and he deserved to win. Cody Lee's performance, for the most part, was great, but the last note was really, really rough. And the thing is, if we weren't treating him with kid gloves, at least someone would have mentioned the last note, because it was noticeably rough. But that didn't matter, because it was all about his story, not about his talent, because he is talented. And he's good, but he's not the second coming of Jesus, which is a funny reference for me to make as a Jew. But it just drove me crazy. What are you gonna do?
One thing that did stand out for me was Simon kind of makes a big deal about how Simon and Garfunkel actually gave him approval.
That was the least offensive part of the whole thing to me.
We've seen this a lot. Like, Bridge Over Troubled Water is not like is not Led
that was
Zeppelin.
a blatant, obvious lie, but it wasn't the thing that I was most pissed about.
For me, the performance, I'm going to not talk about the story and just kind of focus on the performance itself. I don't think Cody is the best singer this season. I think he's top tier, but I don't think he's the best. Top 10, maybe, honestly. But I don't think there's components that go into a winning America's Got Talent act. There's story, there's genuine talent, and maybe like votability. If I was to put 3 components, he is so strong in like the story aspect that nothing else kind of really matters, and it does kind of make me a little worried because I don't want an act to just win on merit of a story. I want them to win because they goddamn deserved it. Because when you look at all the other acts, you say you deserve to win. And I think a lot of people right now are looking at Cody Lee. It's kitty gloves, honestly.
Exactly.
But
and it pisses me off.
I do still enjoy. The funny thing was I actually went to bed right before Cody Lee's performance, and I actually went back to watch it on YouTube. I couldn't find the intro package. I saw you tweeting about it.
God. Yeah, I that's the one good thing that they did is they only uploaded for performance. They didn't upload what came before it and after it. Thank God, because that was the problem. The problem was not the performance.
I actually had to do like a bit of sleuthing to find it. Like it was hard.
I downloaded it, and my God.
But I don't really know what to make. The thing is, I don't know how much about an out. I'm predicting that he is probably going to end up being the winner of the season. As much as we might complain and maybe say we would rather be someone else, he is on the Grace Vanderwall train. There's no stopping it at this point. It is moved out of the station, and there's no way to stop it at this point. But here's a question I want to pose to you, and I don't want to sound insensitive by this, but how viable would a Cody Lee album kind of be after the show? How would that be something a lot of people would be interested in?
I don't know. I don't.
Because would it just be original music, or would it be or would it all just be covers?
Well, knowing Simon, it would be covers, but I just don't know. I mean, it just infuriates me because he's good, and if they would treat him like someone who is good and deserves to be there based on talent. I mean, you can't argue that he deserves to be there based on talent to this round at least. You can argue whether or not he deserves to win, but he definitely deserves to make live shows. Undeniably, based on his talent.
I mean, undeniably on the talent and the level of this season.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. He deserved to make live shows. And if he didn't hit that rough note at the end, I would have said this was a solid A performance. But that rough note at the end took it down to a B minus for me. And the fact that the judges were treating it like the second coming of Jesus clearly makes me think that they don't care about what he delivered on that stage. And it's wrong. I mean, it's wrong. It's not helpful to the disability community just to I feel bad for you, so I'm gonna vote for you. And I love your story. You're so inspirational. I'm gonna vote for you, regardless of whether or not you deserve the votes. Judge it based on talent. If he's the most talented person, then let him win. But there are plenty of more talented people than him this year, in my book.
I am going to co-sign that, and that is kind of be where I'm going to. I will just say that is our coverage of these episodes. Overall, though, are you happy? Would you say you're happy with the results?
Yes. Overall, I would say I'm happy with the results.
Do you agree with me when I say that I think we saw the winner this episode?
As in Cody Lee? Yeah.
Maybe not even Cody Lee. Maybe
it's Cody Lee. If anyone's winning from this episode, it's Cody.
All right. Fair enough. Well, so we lost some contestants this round. Any chance we might see a wild card from this episode?
I doubt it. I mean, maybe Sophie, but I doubt it.
I am still have my fingers crossed for a Verve Shadow. I'm waiting for that moment when I hear that.
Your fingers.
If that happens, like I've already written up my tweet for when that news comes. It's gonna be, we back in this, boys.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, Eric, we're gonna beat your golden buzzer. We are going to win the show.
No, you're not. You notice. By the way, what I noticed in the end of this episode was that they didn't give every single act the same amount of time in the montage of which acts are next week.
Montage of Doom?
No.
Or is it a different montage?
No.
Not a montage of Doom.
A montage of, hey, here's the 12 acts performing on the next episode.
All right.
Like, list of the names. Some acts got more time than others. My guy got quite a bit of time. So.
I didn't catch the acts performing next week. Could you give me some quick names?
Well, my two favorites of the season are on next week: Chris Clafford and Ryan Lee Miller. So.
Who's Chris Clafford?
The Swedish Idol winner.
Right. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And I guess any final thoughts on the episode or week as a whole?
Nope.
All right. Well, then I want to say I am Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at AdamSoapbox or on my two websites, AdamSoapbox.com, AdamsTVblog.com. Where can we find you, Eric?
Eric_Ascher on Twitter, EricAscher01 on YouTube, EricAscher.com.
All right, guys. So another week of America's Got Talent in the books. How many more episodes do we have?
5. 5 weeks. 5 weeks.
Show's almost over. I feel like it's just begun.
Episodes. 10 episodes in 5 weeks.
I feel like it's just begun and it's already over.
Well, you'd feel like that more with Britain's Got Talent, so.
Britain's Got Talent's worse.
Format is garbage.
I mean, there's bad formats and then there's Britain's Got Talent's format.
And then there's the Champions format.
Yeah, we're getting another America's.
Worse.
We haven't even talked about that. We're getting another America's Got Talent champion season.
That's gonna be interesting. But more soon this month, Britain's Got Talent, the champion starts.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second, just really quickly, or?
Yeah, let's.
Any America's Got Talent contestants we might be seeing on Britain's Got Talent, the champions?
Several. Dickie Barbolak, Paul Durden. I know. Preacher Lawson.
Why are they trying to make her happen so badly? I'm convinced that she's got pictures of a producer.
Yeah, quite possibly. And several other acts, but I'm excited for it. I'm actually really excited for Britain's Got Talent Champion. It starts some point this month, so we'll be covering it. At least in passing. We're not gonna go through every single act, but we'll go over the highlights.
The thing is, since it's a Simon Cowell show, I'm convinced it's just gonna be the same acts. Kind of cycling. No, just in general, cycling forward through these champion seasons moving forward.
Maybe.
All right. Well, guys, this has been a fun podcast. Eric, thank you so much for joining me. We'll be back next week. Until next time, peace.